Good Shabbos, everyone. Some of you may know that the very first Jewish U.S. Supreme Court justice was Louis Brandeis. And Brandeis graduated from Harvard Law School in 1876 at the age of 20, with the highest GPA in Harvard's history. When he was studying law at Harvard, an anti-Semitic professor by the name of Peters always displayed animosity towards Brandeis. One time, the professor Peters decided to make life challenging for Brandeis by giving him more difficult test questions than all the other students. But Brandeis responded brilliantly to all the questions. Unhappy and frustrated, the anti-Semitic Peters asked Brandeis the following question: Mr. Brandeis, if you were walking down the street and found a package with a bag of wisdom and another bag with a lot of money, which one would you take? Without hesitating, Brandeis responded, the one with the money, of course. Peters, smiling sarcastically, said, just like a Jew, unlike you, I would have taken the wisdom. Brandeis shrugged indifferently and responded, each one takes what he doesn't have. Professor Peters' hate for the Jewish student came to a finale when he scribbled on Brandeis' final exam the word idiot and handed it back to him. A few minutes later, Brandeis got up, went to the professor, and said to him in a dignified but sarcastically polite tone, Professor Peters, you didn't give me a grade, but you did autograph the exam sheet. Now, when I told that same story years ago, I never expected anti-Semitism to rear its ugly head in such a way as it has over the last several years. And when I spoke about anti-Semitism this past Rosh Hashanah, I could never have imagined that it would get worse so quickly in just a few months since we came together on Rosh Hashanah. But unfortunately, it has. We have seen an increase in anti-Semitism from the extreme left and from the extreme right. We're seeing Jews attacked by white nationalists and black nationalists, neo-Nazis, and anti-Zionists. We have seen Jewish schools, Jewish cemeteries, and synagogues vandalized from coast to coast. We've seen Jews, old and young, men and women, attacked in the streets. And now a madman with a machete breaking into a rabbi's home and wreaking carnage on Hanukkah. Only a modern-day Hanukkah miracle prevented the stabbings in Muncie, New York, from turning into an outright slaughter. This past Saturday night's stabbing was the 13th act of anti-Semitism in just the past 3 weeks. Anti-Semites seem to think it's open season on Jews. And maybe, given the many incidents, they're right. Why is this happening? Why is it getting even worse in America? There are several possible explanations. As we lose more and more of our precious Holocaust survivors, the impact of what anti-Semitism can become is largely unknown to many younger people. In addition, social media has become a launching pad for every kind of conspiracy theory involving our people. Anti-Semitism, as it has for centuries, thrives on conspiracy theories. Every kind of anti-Semitic trope imagined is used to demonize our people. A cesspool of poisonous hatred flourishes on the internet and on social media. But perhaps the number one cause of the growing anti-Semitism here and throughout Europe is a growing lack of confidence in our liberal democracies, in the free, tolerant, and pluralistic American culture that we as Jews have enjoyed since the end of World War II. Rather than continuing to come together as a country, we're fracturing. We see it in the deepening polarization in our society and in our politics. We're splitting apart more now than we have over the last half century. And as our society becomes unglued, we naturally see more and more attacks against minorities like us. As New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said earlier this week, quote, "The attacks and recent hostility based on religion, race, creed, and immigration status is an American cancer that is spreading throughout our society." My friends, we're naturally nervous, frightened, afraid. Is there anything we can do? As the world's oldest hatred increasingly rears its ugly head, it's hard to resist the sense of helplessness. The temptation to slip into despair is palatable, to wring our hands, to accept the present reality. But such despair achieves nothing. It's self-defeating. We're better than that. We cannot live like this. This is not what the United States, what America is about. Anti-Semitism can and must be stopped. A verbal or physical attack on any one part of the American Jewish community is an unacceptable attack on all of us. We have to speak up and make it clear that anti-Semitic rhetoric and violence has no place in our civilized American society. Its perpetrators can claim no legitimacy, because if we do nothing, it will only get worse. Now, let me be clear. The America of 2020 is not like the Europe of the 1930s. Yes, 2 of the 3 indicators of anti-Semitic trends in the United States do point upwards. These are the number and volume of actual attacks against us and the way we as U.S. Jews perceive the significance of the threat. Those are up. But there is a 3rd indicator of anti-Semitism, possibly the most significant of the 3 that we tend to forget. That is mainstream public opinion towards Jews. For now, this indicator is a cause for comfort. We as Jews are still a very well-regarded minority in America. Many Americans have positive feelings towards us as Jews. In fact, according to an amazing annual survey done by the Pew Research Center, more Americans in 2019 held positive views about us than any other religious group. It's amazing. You can see it online. Yes, we must be cautious about such conclusions, but for now, America in general, thank God, is not anti-Semitic. Rather, it's a small but growing minority of bigots, racists, the trash of humanity who makes trouble. And that's important to remember. The American mainstream remains overwhelmingly committed to marginalizing these anti-Semites. Thank God. But my friends, that can change. And it can change quickly. Just ask any of our precious survivors who grew up in pre-World War II Europe. Just a few weeks ago, we laid to rest my wife's 98-year-old grandmother. She grew up in Berlin in non-Jewish schools, surrounded by non-Jewish friends. She grew up in a well-to-do home and felt very comfortable in pre-World War II Berlin. But ask her what 1938 and 1939 was like. And she used to tell us often that it literally changed overnight, where she went to school one day, accepted for who she was, and the next day, spit upon, casted out, betrayed by friends she had grown up with, no longer able to attend the school that she was. Her father beaten up in the streets, her parents' store destroyed, and they had to flee for their lives and escape to England. In addition, just a few years ago, could any of us have ever imagined what we're now seeing? The tide of hatred is rising. It can and must be turned back. No healthy democracy can afford to tolerate anti-Semitism in its midst. It's one of the long-term signs of decay in any democracy. The measure of a healthy society is the degree to which it can firmly and effectively consign those who hate to the outlawed and ostracized margins. That's our nation's test today. Will the hatred against us and other minorities become mainstream? If it does, then the country that we so love will become the Germany of the 1930s. We cannot ever allow that to happen. We must hold all of our elected officials accountable on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats. They must keep those who hate out of the mainstream. We must hold our media outlets responsible, from newspapers to radio to cable news talk shows, on whatever network it may be. They must keep those who hate out of the mainstream. And we must hold social media platforms more accountable, from Twitter to Facebook and to other social media platforms. They must keep those who hate out of the mainstream. We can. All of us, no matter who we are, no matter our age, no matter how busy we may be, we can all play a role in helping fight against anti-Semites. The future of our American Jewish community depends on it. This past week, we finished the celebration of Hanukkah. We remembered the great miracle, that special cask of oil that lasted 8 nights instead of 1. Oil is one of those rare substances that refuses to compromise its uniqueness. Mix it with water, and it maintains its own identity. If oil were a person, it would be characterized by its demand to remain true to his or her uniqueness and traditions. No matter how hard others may try, it stays true to itself and just won't go away. That's probably why oil deserved to become the ultimate symbol of the Hanukkah miracle. We American Jews can be like that Hanukkah oil. All of us, no matter if we identify as Reform, Conservative, or Orthodox, we can remain committed to our Jewish ideals, our Jewish traditions, our Jewish customs. We must remain committed. We will not go away. We can do that. We can do it all. We can be proud Jews with the expectation that we can live in safety and security in this land that we love. We can continue to enjoy the miracle that has been America. But in the new year of 2020, we will continue to enjoy that miracle only if we all get more involved than ever before. Shabbat Shalom. Tonight, the cantor and I thought it was appropriate that we sing this song together, Hine Ma Tov. Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters to be together, reminding us all that we are here for each other, united in our resolve to make a better and safer home and country for all of us as Jews in America. Hine Ma Tov.
Let's all join in. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.